What is up YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and in this video we're jumping right back into the Arachnid Quarter, starting with the second boss. The reward for this one is going to be 2 times Nerub'ar Weblords, but in order to get them we have to defeat Grand Widow Faerlina. Hopefully you watched my last video and you know I used my Druid deck to take on Anub'Rekhan. Just to mix things up a bit, I'm going to use a completely different deck this time around. I'm thinking for the Grand Widow I'll go ahead and use my Warlock Zoo deck. This deck runs a bunch of low mana minions, and it really focuses on Murlocs. I have to admit I always loved Murlocs in WoW, and when I saw that this game had them I knew I had to make a deck. Not to mention the fact that once you get all the Murlocs, they give you a legendary Murloc reward by the name of Old Murk-Eye. Hopefully we get to see him in this match. If I manage to get him into play, as a bonus I'll go ahead and do my best Murloc impression. Alright, so there's our opening draw. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of every single one of these cards. The Coldlight Seer is really the only thing I even debated keeping out of this lot. But out with the old and in with the new. This time we get a Voidwalker, a Murloc Tidehunter, and Alexstrasza. I'd say this is a much better hand, even though we probably won't get to play that dragon. Our first drop is pretty obvious, it's going to be a Voidwalker. He's a 1/3 with Taunt. That ends our turn, and next the Grand Widow apparently passes right back to us. At this point I started thinking maybe we chose correctly with our fast Warlock Zoo deck. It's very possible that this boss won't be able to keep up with us. Okay, and this is something I should have looked at beforehand. This boss's power is called Rain of Fire. Basically for 2 mana she'll fire a missile for each card in our hand. Now I'm starting to realize that I made a really good choice because this deck will get out cards really fast and it never has much of a hand. I'm actually going to go ahead and give a spoiler. I even used this deck against the heroic version of Grand Widow Faerlina, and I managed to beat her first try. Unfortunately I was recording, but I stopped it because I started lagging so bad, and I really had no thoughts that I was going to beat her first try. You can probably imagine how bittersweet that victory was. But you know what, I'll just have to beat her again and make sure I'm recording. As you can see here, we're rushing her down with relative ease. The heroic unfortunately isn't that easy. I only beat her with 1 health remaining. But I am 1 for 1 with this deck, so maybe we can get it done again soon. Now the boss did manage to play a Death Charger, but we do have 2 minions with Taunt, so they won't be taking out any of our Murlocs. Next she'll play a Dark Cultist, and that will be the end of her turn. Oh, and look here, we did get Old Murk-Eye. So now it's time to go ahead and play him, and I will do my impression. Okay, I don't know how many of you know what a Murloc sounds like, but I think I did a pretty decent job. Instead of dealing with her minions, we do have 2 taunts, so I'm just going to blitz her down. This leaves her at just 4 HP, and barring any massive clear, we should easily end her next turn. After drawing quite a few cards, she only has 3 mana crystals, and then she plays another Battle Rage. So sure, the boss has a massive hand, but she can't do too much. So it looks like we won this one much faster than against the first boss. I even managed to get a Murloc War Leader, which is going to boost every one of my Murloc's attack. I'll just go ahead and attack with Old Murk-Eye, and that's going to be it for the second boss of the Arachnid Quarter. I have to admit, that boss was pretty easy for a Warlock Zoo, or probably any rush or aggro deck. Just make sure you don't have a big hand. After this victory, Kel'Thuzad will chime in once again, and then we get to move on to the Spider Queen. Oh, but first let's go ahead and take a look at our reward. 2 times Nerub'ar Weblord. This is a 1/4 for 2 mana crystals that says minions with Battlecry cost 2 more. This could actually be a pretty useful card, and I could see it hurting quite a few decks. So I don't know, maybe I'll try to work it in somewhere. Definitely in a deck where I don't have much Battlecry myself. Now if you happen to be wondering who the next boss is, it's going to be the Spider Queen Naxxramus. Also, now that we have her unlocked, I'll go ahead and look at her reward, and then we'll look at the final reward for the Arachnid Quarter. So next up, we're going to unlock our first rare, Nerubian Egg. This is a 0/2 that upon death summons a 4/4 Nerubian. Then moving on to the final reward for defeating all 3 bosses, we can get a legendary card. It's going to be Naxxramus herself. She's a 2/8 beast for 6 mana crystals, and she destroys any minion that she damages. So that's pretty awesome that we do get a legendary, and I'll be facing this boss in the very next video. Make sure to stay tuned and subscribe. Also, please leave a like and a comment, it really does help me out. That's all for now, so until next time, good luck, and take care.